We're doing a twofer today. I think that's the only suspense, but I just cleared a bunch of stuff, so I should be good. But if this stops randomly, then oh well. I don't know how to clear off my SD card, and maybe I need to go like Google how to do that. I put it in my computer and I clicked off the files and I put it in the trash, but for some reason it's still showing that I don't have any memory left. But whatever. Anyways, today is a twofer, but it's gonna be two separate videos. I need to get caught, so I'm doing these last two and I'll finally be caught up, and then I'll start my new book tomorrow. But anyways, you see the same outfit, that's why I'm doing two of these in one day, and they will be quick. I'm shooting for 10 minutes each, but we'll see. Y'all know I like to ramble. Anyways, welcome to Boozie Books, where literature meets libation. Today we are talking about Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. Sorry, I'm probably butchering your name. I did not listen to the pronunciation before, but that's okay. You know who you are. So this was actually part of a book club, and it was a thriller, and I was weirdly into it. I will say, majority of this book, I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like, I'm wondering what's happening. I'm not sure where it's going, so it's obviously keeping my attention. I wasn't loving it. I wasn't hating it. I was just like, okay, so like, when is the big reveal? Like, what's going on? And then that book took a fucking turn, and I said, wait a minute. Because at first I was just like, oh, wait, where's this book going? And I was like, that's weird. And I was like, that's weird. Then I'm like, oh, fuck, wait, what did I just hear? So yeah, so interesting book. But anyway, so let's do a quick overview of this book. So a supernatural thriller about this girl named Mallory. So when we first started, Mallory was like part of some program, and it was weird because it was about like if she could tell if men were looking at her, and she was like the only person that like got it right like all the time or whatever. And then it turns out she was an addict, and nobody knows what she was talking about. Like, nobody remembers what she was talking about. She had a phone. She sold it for drugs. So, like, if they were trying to get in contact with her, like, they wouldn't be able to. And I was just like, I don't know what's going on here. I definitely thought this was a very different book just based off of that intro. Anyway, so Mallory, she is a recovering addict. She finds a job, not house sitting, like a live-in nanny for this rich family who has a kid, and the kid is like, you know, a little awkward, a little different, and she's just gonna like actually, you know, watch the kid, spend time with him, maybe help the kid like acclimate a little bit to his environment around him. And so she meets the kid. She's like instantly like, you know, like, I was gonna say falling for him, but like she's just instantly like taken with him. She thinks like he's a little quirky and a little cool. They have really good rapport, and he starts like drawing these photos, and like he is like, I guess like talented for a kid, I don't know, but like he like has some talent, and he's like drawing these pictures in there a little weird. He also has like an imaginary friend who's weird. I think the friend is named Anya. But the pictures like progressively get worse and darker, and it's like freaking Mallory out. And also Mallory's like super Christian. I don't remember if she like got into the church after her addiction or what, but she's like super religious. The family's not. They're very secular, very like atheist, very science focused. So she's like, she's thinking like this is something supernatural, like this is a ghost or a demon or something. She doesn't know, but she's like, something's weird, like the kids talking to somebody, and the conversations like don't feel like an imaginary friend, and like weird things are happening. The kid's kind of acting out, but like doesn't remember, or supposedly acting out, doesn't remember. Strange things are happening in Mallory's little home. She has like a little, I guess she's like staying in like the pool house or something, like a little cabin on their land. Strange things are happening there. And she like meets this one older lady. I can't remember her name, but she's kind of like a kook. She's like into like mysticism, Ouija boards, seances, all kinds of stuff. And basically the lady's like, I don't trust that family. Something's weird about that family. There's some bad energy, yada, yada, yada. So initially, and I think she was the one that told her about like a murder that happened like in that house, like in the 70s, maybe earlier, I don't know. It was a long time ago. And so that's when Mallory started thinking like, oh, maybe like this imaginary friend is actually the ghost of this girl who got killed. So like she starts to try to like look into it. She's kind of like running into dead ends or whatever. But she finds some information and she's like trying to like run that down, and she runs it down the best she can, and then she finds out like the person that they thought was murdered there wasn't actually murdered there. She just like ran away so she could be with her lover, and she was pregnant, and the family covered it up, said it was a murder, like all this random stuff. So that was a nothing burger. But then like the old lady that she was talking to, like they did some kind of seance and like some crazy stuff happened. And then after that, the lady ended up dead. Like she was she shot? I think she was shot. So she was shot, and then Mallory was like at her house, like trying to like reach her, trying to get in contact with her, and they realized she was gone. And then like next thing I know, like the police are like in the house, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing here? And she's like, what the fuck is going on? And they were like, there's a dead lady out here in the woods. And she was like, I literally didn't do it. Like I wasn't here. I just got here. I was looking for her. We talked earlier. I hadn't heard from her. I had a question. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so basically the family was like, yeah, she had like some visitor at night and they were yelling, and then like suddenly they weren't yelling, and then she was outside and she was just like, take me with you, and like then she just like disappeared. That is what the family said. So also like the family was like kind of fine, but like also not kind of fine. Like at times the wife would be really nice, then she would like be like a bitch, and then the husband was like standoffish for a long time, and then he started being flirtatious. And there was this whole thing about like their son, like I said, the son's like very particular. I thought the son was maybe autistic or something, because I was like, something's up with him, he's not like acting right. And the son was always asking like these kind of strange questions like about body parts or whatever. Anyways, I feel like I have to like bury the lead a little bit, because not bury the lead, like reveal like kind of what's going on a little bit, to and then come back to tell the story, because it really doesn't make sense until like you have the big reveal. But like the son was asking like Mallory like, hey, like when you're like, what was it like, when you're peeing, like do you stand up, do you sit down, like can you see like your that body part or not? And Mallory was doing her best to explain it. And then like one day, so the son was like very particular about like people seeing him naked, but like something happened and Mallory like ran into the shower to check on him. And at some point she was like, I know that the family is lying to me. What's up with the family? She's not 100% sure what it is. And the neighbor was killed, and this ghost thing had started like possessing her. So it was like real, like she was like legit possessed, and was like drawing pictures of these kind of like violent scenes, putting pictures in her cabin, all this stuff. It was like kind of making her feel crazy, go crazy, and making it seem like she was crazy to like everybody else. So when the old lady got killed, she was typing out a message to Mallory, basically saying like, Anya isn't Anna. That's not a name. Anya also means something. Somehow they thought Anya was like Russian or whatever. They figured out that she wasn't Russian, that she was Hungarian. And I'm back. It cut off because I did run out of space. I did not realize when I put the files in the trash, I also had to empty the trash in order for it to clear off the disk. But you live and you learn. There's a part of me that was like, maybe I am supposed to do this, but I don't know. So I kept trying to reformat the card and that wasn't working. But anyways, I don't really remember where I left off. I think it was somewhere where they realized she was Hungarian. Like the ghost or whatever. They realized the ghost is Hungarian. And like during the seance with the lady who was killed, the ghost had like left him a message. And so honestly, I can't remember how they figured out that she was Hungarian. I also don't remember how they figured out like there's no space on a Ouija board, I guess, but like you can use X in a way to like denote like a space, so like a different word or whatever. And the message was something like, was like, beware of flora, or beware of flowers, or be careful for flora, or something along those lines. I think it was flora, and she was thinking floral flowers, but somehow or another, they realized that she wasn't talking about flowers, but that flora was a name. Okay, yeah, the ghost was real. The ghost was real. The ghost was a real entity in this story, and it was protecting the child, because the child needed protection. Because, and literally I cannot remember, like, how did she figure this out? So she like realized that they, like, the family was lying to her, and for whatever reason she decided to confront them, which I was like, girl, if they're lying to you and you think you're in danger, why not go to police? But like, and she had like good rapport with one of the police officers or detectives, so I was just like, this is dumb, but like, whatever, it's a story. And somehow, like, she was able to piece the pictures together to realize that the pictures were like showing a scene of what happened. And essentially what she finds out is, bombshell number one is that they'd killed somebody. Bombshell number two, the person that they killed was the actual parent of the son. And bombshell number three, the son is in fact not a son, but a daughter. I remember how she realized that they were lying, because they were they had told her that they had spent some time in Barcelona, and she was thinking Barcelona, Spain, because that is, when you say Barcelona, that is what people think about. And she was talking to the kid, and the kid was saying something about like Barcelona. She was saying something about Barcelona, and the kid was like, yeah, like we drove from there to here, it was like 3 hours or whatever. And she was like, no, you didn't drive, like you flew in a plane. And he was like, no, I remember, like we drove. The kid was like, no, we drove, I remember. So she was just like, are you sure? She was like, he was like, yeah. So that's when like she realized that they were lying and something was fishy about the story and all that stuff. Anyway, so the whole thing was, they were married, or they got married. I think they were trying to have a kid. It wasn't working. They had like these busy lives, busy careers. They wanted to like move upstate New York to like be alone and see. I think I may be lying. Did they move upstate before or after? Honestly, I can't remember. But they were trying to have a kid. It wasn't working. They were living somewhere, and they saw this girl and her child all the time, but the mom felt that she was neglecting the child, and so she just came up with this idea to steal the child and kill the lady. And so that's what happened, and they tried to bury her, but I think they thought she was a single mom. They didn't realize that like either her husband or her baby daddy was like actually like kind of a big shot and had a lot of money. He just like wasn't around. So they didn't think that people would like look for her, but like as soon as that happened, people were looking for her and were looking for the kid. And so I think then that's when they moved upstate to like be alone and get away. But her ghost was like following them and like tormenting them rather, not torturing. And then I think they like tried to move again, and basically they decided like the girl is no longer going to be a boy, and the boy is no wait yeah the girl is no longer going to be a girl but a boy. Changed his name and all this stuff. And so she was like blurting. They like, I don't know, they were talking, and then she was just like, oh, so that's why he always wants to wear like this kind of like purple sweater, like it's like a lilac color. That's why he's so particular about certain things. That's why he acts a certain way. That's why he doesn't really like to be around like men, and that's why he kind of likes these certain toys and all these things. So piecing all this together, tells them, and they were like, damn bitch, we liked you, but I guess now we're gonna have to kill you. And I was just like, duh, Mallory, what did you think was gonna happen? But this part, like, obviously that's awful, but the sinister part was like, well, because she was addicted to heroin, so they ended up getting some heroin from the lady that they killed, because I guess she was addicted to heroin at some point, I don't know. Anyways, they basically like knocked her out, put her in her like cabin, and they were about to inject her. No, they did. They literally injected her, and with heroin. She thought she was dead, but she wasn't, because the husband had switched out the heroin for baby powder. I don't know what heroin looks like, so maybe it's easily mistaken for baby powder. That's neither here nor there for me to determine, but she was just injected with baby powder. Then the husband was like trying to save her, but then the wife came and the wife shot him, and then the wife was trying to make her shoot herself, but she wasn't going to. And then maybe the ghost came and helped at some point. I can't remember. But the husband was like also apparently like in love with Mallory and thought that she was giving him signs that she liked him too. Like, that was so crazy. I was like, honestly, y'all could have left that part out. It didn't make any sense to me. Oh, and the husband, piece of shit. I mean, obviously, but like also piece of shit, because he was like, Mallory like already packed her stuff, or no, her stuff was already packed because they were like firing her. But well, they were gonna fire her until she found out what was going on, and then they decided to kill her. But anyways, he was like, yeah, let's go, like she won't follow us if we leave the kid. I was just like, so you're gonna leave this kid with this batshit crazy lady who already killed somebody and is like trying to kill somebody else? Okay, father of the year. Maybe there's a struggle. He got shot, and she was like, I can't leave the kid. So like she goes in, she gets the kid, they run into the woods somewhere. The mom follows them, and then the ghost, oh, maybe this is where the ghost came in. The ghost like took over the kid's body and like stabbed the mom in the neck a few times until she died. Then the police came because somebody heard some gunshots. They called the police, and that was really it. They found the kids, Flora is her name. They found Flora's like biological family, sent her to go live with them, and I think Mallory's like writing a book now about this. And Flora didn't really want to like meet her or you know, be a part of it, because obviously she was traumatized. She killed who she thought was her mom, and she also saw ghosts of her real mom. Flora was fucked up, okay? I think she had to like do like some psychiatric stuff, and Mallory went to see her a few years later, but Flora like completely did not remember anything. I would have dumped it too, girl, because it's too crazy. And then she just like, I don't know, the whole book was like her like writing a letter to Flora, like this is what happens if you ever want to talk to me, if you ever feel you need to talk to me, like I'm here, but don't ever feel you need to. That was a traumatic experience. If you just want to move on with your life and live your life to the fullest, like absolutely go ahead and do that. And then I think Flora stopped drawing too, which whatever, it's fine. Anyway, so that was the story. Definitely some shock value, because I was just like, damn, that lady died, and like, damn, the family is like lying about stuff. Damn, the family killed somebody. Damn, like they just changed the sex of this kid and probably forced it to now have to be in therapy for the rest of his life. Like, that was crazy. Overall though, I enjoyed the book. I finished it mad early, probably like 2-3 days. I mean, it wasn't super long, but I was just like, really like, where's this going? I'm not sure what the point of this story is. We got like themes of Christianity and ghosts and what is happening. That was a lot. I guess I feel like he needed those like twists and like wow factors to really help close out the book, because if it wasn't anything, then I just would have been like, why did I read this? So I enjoyed it, but I am gonna give it 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 flowers. I was gonna say something else, but I was like, that's a little insensitive. I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 flowers. And you guys, I actually do have my drinks with me. My shots with me. Finally, I finally washed them. So let's go ahead and get 1, 2, 3 out of it. Let me take these 2 that don't have anything in them. Let's bottoms up. This is a big one. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm gonna have to change this one out. Scared my dog too. Anyway, so that was the second spooky, well no, technically I'll give it a third. That was the third like spooky-ish book that I read for spooky season, and that was my last review of a spooky book. But join me again next time on Boozie Books, where we will talk about books worth sipping over. Bye, you guys.